Welcome back to our channel. We're going to learn about our history of folklore.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rosie Talley, children's author and history lover. This is Past and Pen, where history and storytelling collide. Are you ready to dive into the past to write a new story? I've always been fascinated by folktales. In fact, my first book, Linus the Troll, was written after I read my daughter The Three Billy Goats Gruff, and I was feeling sorry for the troll. So Linus is a little troll that looks a little bit scary on the outside, but he actually has a really good heart. Needless to say, folktales hold a special place in my heart, and today we're diving into their fascinating history. You've probably heard stories about trickster foxes, sleeping princesses, and even magic beans. But did you know some folktales have been around for over 4,000 years? And guess what? Some of your favorite fairy tales started out a little bit different from the versions we know today, sometimes with surprising twists. First things first, what makes a story a folktale? Simply put, a folktale is a story that's passed down from generation to generation, usually by word of mouth. These tales weren't written down at first, which meant that each time someone told them, the details could change just a little bit, kind of like a giant game of telephone. Folk tales come in all shapes and sizes, but they usually have a simple, easy to remember plot, include talking animals, magical creatures, or tricky heroes, and they usually teach a lesson or explain something about the world. I once heard folktales described as something that takes a truly dangerous thing and gives a boogeyman feeling, just scary enough to make us appropriately cautious. That's part of their magic. They teach through imagination, using fear or sometimes wonder to pass along wisdom. Some folktales are funny, like the Anansi the spider stories from West Africa. Anansi is a clever and sometimes sneaky spider who uses his wit to solve problems and trick others. Others are cautionary, like Little Red Riding Hood, which originally had a much scarier ending. One of the oldest recorded folktales is the tale of two brothers, an Egyptian story written down around 1185 BCE. This tale includes magic, betrayal, and of course, talking animals. Though the written version is over 3,000 years old, it likely began as an oral tale passed down long before it was written. The Three Billy Goats Gruff is a great example of how folk tales can evolve. At its core, the story is about three goats outsmarting a troll to cross a bridge, a classic tale of cleverness and bravery. Through retellings, the story has taken on different forms. Some versions focus on teamwork, while others highlight the cleverness of the smallest goat. The beauty of folktales, like this one, lies in how they change over time, yet the universal theme still connect with every new generation. Now let's talk about how folktales helped explain the world before science gave us the facts. Many cultures created myths and stories to make sense of natural events, storms, changing seasons, even why stars sparkle in the sky. These stories gave people comfort, helped explain what was at the time unexplainable, and connected them to their traditions. For example, in Norse mythology, thunder was believed to be the sound of Thor's hammer smashing against the sky as he battled giants. Today we know thunder comes from lightning heating the air, but the story of Thor still resonates with many people as a symbol of strength and protection. Let's take a look at the classic folktale Cinderella. This story shows up in cultures all over the world, with each version offering a unique twist. Most people know the version featuring a fairy godmother in a glass slipper, but earlier versions were much different. In some versions, the stepsisters go to great lengths to fit into the slippers. Yikes. And the magic takes different forms. There's the Chinese version, Yi Xian, where a magical fish helps the heroine, and also a Greek version, which is set in Egypt, called Rhodopis, and is considered the oldest of the Cinderella like tales. In this version, the king finds his bride after an eagle flings a sandal into his lap. The king then searches for the girl who fits the sandal, much like the prince searching for the girl who fits the glass slipper in the version that we're most familiar with. No matter the version, the story always returns to familiar themes: kindness, fairness, and the triumph of good over greed. So, is Cinderella a folktale or a fairy tale? The answer is both. A fairy tale is a type of folktale, but it includes magical elements like fairy godmothers, talking animals, or enchanted objects. So, when you think about glass slippers, pumpkins turning into carriages, and magical helpers, that's the fairy tale side of Cinderella coming to life. In short, all fairy tales are folk tales, but not all folk tales are fairy tales. Even in modern times, folk tales still matter, and they still teach us important lessons. They remind us to be clever, brave, kind, and sometimes just a little bit cautious. A lot of modern stories borrow from the old tales. Think of Harry Potter, a chosen one, magical mentor, good versus evil, or The Lion King, a royal that has been exiled, the hero's return. They both echo themes found in folk tales. Old tales can spark new ideas. Writers often reshape these stories for modern readers while keeping the heart of the original alive. So the next time you hear a folk tale, think about where it came from and how many people have told it before you. Who knows? Maybe your version will be the one that gets passed down next. Are you ready to turn the page on Happily Ever After? Here are a few good reads to get you started. But I love fairy tales, so I have an extended list in the show notes. Be sure to check it out. Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lin. This is a beautifully written fantasy inspired by Chinese folklore, following a girl's journey to change her family's fortune. Rump, the true story of Rumpelstiltskin, a humorous and clever retelling of Rumpelstiltskin from the misunderstood character's perspective. The Serpent's Secret, a fast-paced fantasy rooted in Bengali folklore, following a girl who learns she's a princess from another dimension. It's time for today's writing prompt. There's no need to wish upon a star. Your imagination is all you need to create your very own folktale. Imagine you lived thousands of years ago, before science could explain thunderstorms, the stars, or earthquakes. Create a short folktale to explain a natural event. Is thunder just the sound of a giant's belly rumbling after too many bean burritos? Is the fog just a lazy cloud looking to take a nap? Is the wind just created by invisible dragons beating their wings as they soar through the sky? Whatever it is, send your folktale to me at pastandpen@gmail.com, and I might feature it in a future episode. Thanks so much for joining me as we explore the past and let our pens do the talking. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. If you're listening on your favorite podcast app, leave a review. It helps more curious minds like yours to discover the show. You can find the full reading list for today's episode on my website, the link's in the show notes. Plus, if you want to dive deeper, you'll find sources and the writing prompt there too. And hey, if you know someone who would enjoy this, please share it with them. New episodes drop every other Tuesday at 4 p.m., so mark your sundials, set your hourglasses, or just let history repeat itself and tune in. Oh, and check out my Patreon. Starting at just $1, you'll unlock fun perks like birthday shoutouts, early access to new episodes, and even a chance to have your voice featured on the show. Each month, you'll receive a new password to use on my website where you can record your answer to the question of the month. This month's question is, if you could travel back in time to any historical period, where would you go and why? What would you bring with you and who would you want to meet? I can't wait to hear your answers. Stay curious and keep writing your story.
Subscribe to my channel.